Let's talk about the Schiit Saga Plus preamp. There's a lot of things I like about this preamp. There's a few things I think you should know before you buy one yourself. Well, one of the things I like the most about the Schiit Saga Plus preamp is it has two operating modes. It has a passive mode and an active mode. Now, in the passive mode, you're hearing everything like you would expect. You're basically relying on the inherent gain within the source, so your CD player or your phono preamp or a cassette deck along those lines. Now, when you switch to the active mode, the tube is activated, and the thing I noticed the most is that the overall gain of your source is boosted. So when you go from passive to active, it just automatically raises the gain. And there's a switch on the far right side of the Schiit Saga Plus where you can click and activate that between those two modes. There's also the ability to do that via the remote control. But what I noticed most was when clicking over to the active is that the overall gain increased and the sound was just a little bit bigger. And so I actually spent most of my time listening to all the music through that active stage with the tube. I'll talk a little bit more about later in the video about that tube and how it sort of overall applies to the performance of the preamp. But for $400 to be able to get a preamp that switches between two modes like that, I think is a great deal. Another great feature of the Schiit Saga Plus is simply its size. It's so small. You can fit this almost anywhere. This would be great for someone that's wanting to set up a system in their office, either right on their desktop or maybe on a bookshelf somewhere. It'd be great for like a college dorm if college kids still wanted to build hi-fi systems in their dorm rooms. I don't know. Or even if you just have a small bedroom that you wanted to put, build yourself a little system in as well. You really cannot beat the size of the Schiit Saga Plus. It can pretty much fit anywhere. Another great feature of the Schiit Saga Plus is the number of inputs and outputs it offers. There are 5 RCA inputs on the rear of the unit, as well as 2 RCA outputs. So there's plenty of inputs for your turntable, CD player, cassette deck, streaming deck. That even leaves one more. That would pretty much cover me. I have more modern day preamps that only offer a few RCA inputs, and yeah, they do have digital ones, and the Schiit Saga Plus does not have any digital inputs, but with 5 RCA inputs, that's going to give you the ability to hook up a lot of sources. And with the 2 RCA outputs, you're going to be able to either hook up well, obviously one amplifier, but if you wanted to hook up 2 amplifiers, you could. Or if you wanted to connect the second RCA output to a subwoofer, you could do that as well. Now, there are no balanced inputs or outputs, as you can see on the back of the Schiit Saga Plus. If you were interested in that, you would want to graduate from the Schiit Saga Plus to the Freya Plus. The Schiit Saga Plus is $400 and the Freya Plus is $950. And that will give you the ability to have balanced inputs and outputs. The Schiit Saga Plus also comes with a great remote control. I've been listening to vintage gear for years, and I always thought remote controls were like you were lazy. But I have to admit, now that I've gotten a few more modern pieces that have remotes, it's really convenient for volume control. This offers you the ability to mute, but more importantly, this lets you switch between active mode and passive mode, like from your couch or your chair. So I can sit in my sweet spot and just click back and forth, so I can hear how my CD player sounds in passive mode versus how it sounds in active mode, and I can switch the input, and then I can go to my turntable, active mode, passive mode, and that was kind of fun with this remote control. Not very big, so it could be easy to lose, but just find a good home for it, and I think you'll really enjoy the operation of the remote control with the Schiit Saga Plus. Now let's talk about how the Schiit Saga Plus sounds. For me, I would sum it up in 3 words. All the same word: detail, detail, detail. For me, the Schiit Saga Plus just brought out a lot of the detail in the mid-range and the higher frequencies that I was not used to hearing when listening to music through other pieces of gear. Especially music like acoustic guitar, records. Great example, Best of John Fahey. And the detail really shown on both vinyl playback and CD playback, and to some extent streaming, but especially those other two. If you're looking for a preamp that's going to bring out that detail in the mids and highs, I think the Schiit Saga Plus is a great preamp for that. If you're someone that likes a lot of bass, which isn't necessarily me, the good thing is that Schiit Saga Plus comes with that second output that you could hook up a subwoofer to. Now, I'd like to talk a little bit later about the tube and how that operates in the active mode, and we can reference that a little bit later. But for now, if you're looking for a solid performing, great sounding preamp that's going to offer you a lot of great detail in the mids and the highs, Schiit Saga Plus is an excellent place to start. Okay, so now we talked about how the Schiit Saga Plus sounds. I really want to take a minute to talk about the tube. I had a few friends ask me if the Schiit Saga Plus would be a great tube preamp for them, and I had to kind of read into their question. And I think what they were asking is it going to offer that warm, tubey, wide soundstage sound that would come from a traditional tube preamp? And to my ears, the answer for the Schiit Saga Plus is it doesn't compare to a traditional preamp. I have a Primaluna EVO-100 tube preamplifier, and when you listen to music side by side with the Schiit Saga Plus, that traditional preamplifier just offers more, definitely a bigger sound stage, and it has that warmer sound. For me, the Schiit Saga Plus, that tube is acting as a buffer, so when you switch to the active mode, it increases the gain without giving you a lot of distortion by lowering the noise floor. And as far as the Schiit Saga Plus goes, that tube, it operates wonderfully in the active mode. It does its job just as it should. But if you are someone that wants a big, warm tube sound that would come from a traditional preamplifier, I would suggest doing research on the Schiit Freya Plus, the one model up. I've unfortunately not been able to get my hands on one. They're back ordered 4 to 6 weeks. But from everything I've researched and read, to me, that Freya Plus, it offers it offers a few different listening modes, but the main two are the difference between solid state and a tube sound. And from everything that I've read, the Freya Plus really gives you that more traditional tube preamplifier sound. Now, the Freya Plus comes in at $950, and the Schiit Saga Plus is $400. So again, if you see the tube, or when you see the tube on the Schiit Saga Plus and you think, I'm going to get this for tube, because I want a tube preamplifier sound, again, I would consider the Freya Plus. And there is one other option, actually, if you have zero interest in the tube, you can even, I think, for $100 less, get just the Schiit Saga, which is all solid state. But again, adding that tube in as the buffer for the Schiit Saga Plus really, to me, increased the gain in that stage and just made things sound a little bit more full in comparison to the passive mode. But it didn't kind of give me that traditional warm tube preamp or tube sound that I would get from any of my other tube preamplifiers. Now, before you go and purchase a Schiit Saga Plus, I do think there's a couple of things you should know. First, regarding the inputs, the RCA inputs, there's no dedicated phono input. So you would either need a standalone phono preamp to use with the Schiit Saga Plus or have a built-in preamp in your turntable. The second is the power switch here is located on the rear of the unit, which drives some people crazy. Doesn't bother me, but something to keep in mind if you were to want to put this on a bookshelf unit or something, you'd want to make sure you leave enough space to be able to reach back behind the unit to turn it off and on. The other thing is this volume control actually clicks when in operation, when you use it both manually and with a remote control. Now, to me, I found the clicks kind of fun. It felt like it just gave it a more mechanical, operational feel to it. But for if you're someone that just doesn't like any kind of noise when you're listening to a preamp, and it's really not fair calling it noise, but like an extra sound when it's operating. If you just don't like that click noise, that's something to keep in mind. But for me, it never overpowered the music, and you get used to it real quick. But still something worth pointing out before you buy the Schiit Saga Plus. Okay, final thoughts on the Schiit Saga Plus. For $400, you're really getting a lot of options with this preamp. First of all, you know, just due to its size, you're going to be able to put it almost anywhere. But also for that amount of money, you're getting 5 RCA inputs, 2 RCA outputs, you're getting a remote control, and you're getting 2 modes. You're getting an active mode and a passive mode. And that is a lot of bang for your buck for just $400. If the tube is not really of any interest to you at all, you can actually save $100 and go down to just the Schiit Saga, which is just a solid state preamp. If you're looking for balanced inputs and outputs, you're going to want to graduate up to the Freya Plus instead of the Schiit Saga Plus. And if you're looking for a traditional warm tube sound with the big wide sound stage, you're also going to want to do your research and graduate up to that Freya Plus as well. Again, the Freya Plus is $950 and the Schiit Saga is $400. Overall, I really enjoyed listening to the Schiit Saga Plus. I loved having it in my system. It really brought out a lot of detail in the mid and high range that I wasn't used to hearing. And it's definitely something that I would recommend to anyone who's on a budget and looking to add something a little special to their system for under $500. Hope you enjoy watching this video. Thanks for watching.